Something is giving horror about this rotating sound effect. Hello and welcome to... Today we're talking about Nickelodeon 3D Movie Maker, a game supposedly made for children, which I as a child indeed spent a lot of time on, and yet when I think back upon it, the only feeling in my body is of existential dread. So today we're going to talk about why I think that is. As to how I started playing this, I really couldn't tell you. There was just a certain collection of CD-ROMs that I inexplicably had access to as a child. I don't know where they came from. As far as I know, they just fell out of the sky into my little kid lap. Like, now that I think about it, I can't remember a single time I picked out a CD-ROM game. These games just kind of happened to me. The cover of the game, as I will show you, features a terrifying creature that looks to be a mix between a human child and an ancient film camera, which is interesting because the whole point is making 3D animated movies digitally, but I digress. It was released in 1996, which is interesting because I would have only been 1 year old, so it had to have been out for a few years by the time I played it, but honestly I was on the computer as a baby pretty much, so like, that kind of tracks. This game was really just the Nickelodeon version of Microsoft 3D Movie Maker, but I'm going to talk about the Nick one as if it is in a void because as far as I knew, that was what it was. I certainly didn't know about the Microsoft one. But an interesting fact I will say when I was looking this up is that the font Comic Sans made its first appearance ever in Microsoft 3D Movie Maker. This game allows you to make 3D movies at a whopping 6 to 8 frames per second. And to do this, you are given various backgrounds, characters, props, and sounds, which for this version are all Nickelodeon themed. Something I noticed this time around is that there are not even that many characters. Okay, so there are actually only 3 Nickelodeon shows that it gives you characters from. So you just have a few characters from each of these 3 shows. And I will say, when I was playing this, I knew very little about these characters, but more on that later. The host of this game, you could say, is a character called Stickley, who is a popsicle stick, who as a child I also only knew from this game, even though apparently he did appear on Nickelodeon. And he stars in some very wacky and far too long cutscenes, like this first one when you boot up the game. Alright gang, it's 9 p.m. on a Friday night. Seems to me like a good time to make a movie, specifically a Nickelodeon 3D movie.
Hey, when did you get here? Boy, no one told me you were here, waiting. Hey.
This is so weirdly familiar to me.
Come along with me to Nick World, where we can use some 3D Nicktoons and make a feature film.
Oh my god, so cute and silly.
Oh, something tells me it's this way. Hey, let's go. This will take us to Nick World.
Please, the door that's shaped exactly like him?
I feel so trendy. Hey, check out the movie. Check out this choosometer. Or is that choosometer?
Oh my god, I remember all the jokes. I remember choosometer, or is that choosometer? I wish in real life that I made that sound when I exited a room. Wow, the complete and total silence when he leaves? Okay, so I believe the chair is how we watch a movie. This is the movie making machine, the movie maker, if you will. The choosometer, I don't remember what that is. So making a whole movie sounds really overwhelming. You know, I think I need to get my footing first and really see what this tool is capable of. So they do have a collection of example movies you can watch. Some of the example movies act as tutorials, and others actually tell stories. I have to say the 6 to 8 frames per second and the other limitations of the program really start to show themselves watching these example movies. The main effect I would say these limitations have is really just preventing the movies from making any goddamn sense, which really adds to the whole kind of fever dream nightmare vibe. It's something you'll really only understand when you see it. Let me see if they have any movies for us to just watch. Very much in love with these wacky cutscenes that go on for about 3 times longer than they need to.
Click the movie you want to watch, then click the OK button.
Ha! Let's check out Styx movies. Logos? Oh, it's like tutorial text, but it's going way too fast. Why would it go this fast? I can't read that. Ooh. This is so overstimulating. What is happening? Huh? Are they all that psychotic?
Good morning. Today's lecture will be about...
You grumble as we can explain.
Oh, how do you? You need a good snorching.
What? Like all the lines are overlapping? It doesn't make any sense.
I'm having a bad day.
Huh? How did this ship? And the example movies don't even make sense. This is just so fascinating to me. The special effects are really incredible. Oh, this is a sliming tutorial. They're just sliming absolutely everybody is what they're doing. It kills me how they put text on the screen and then cut away from it immediately so you can't read it. Like, the text is going so quickly. And this is about as fast as I remember it going, so it's not like my computer is too fast and it's making it faster. This is just how it was, always. Yeah, so clearly if this is what the example movies are like, they weren't expecting you to be able to make anything that made sense.
Thanks, pal.
You know it's a good cartoon when you have to add paragraphs of text on the screen explaining what's supposed to be happening. So after those examples, I have to say my hopes are a little dashed for creating the next award-winning Pixar competitive 3D animated film. But you know, we're here to make a movie, so I have to try. The actual movie maker is surprisingly complicated. There's a tremendous amount of buttons on the screen with some truly incomprehensible symbols and pictures drawn on them. I don't know if this was just too early in the computer world to have like the standard symbols for buttons that we have now, or if this was just Nickelodeon trying to be wacky and crazy. But thank God when you hover over a button, Stick will come and explain it in a voiceover, because without that I would have no clue what any of these were supposed to mean. So at the bottom you have like the crudest possible editing timeline where you can just see what frame and scene you're on. So you can use that to navigate frames. And then when you add characters and sounds and words, they will appear starting at whatever frame you're on when you add them. Now to animate things, you use the continue last action tool. I don't really know what they were going for with that name. It doesn't make any sense. That's how you animate things. You use that tool and then you just start dragging the character or the prop around the screen, and the frames will automatically advance while you're doing that. So you're kind of animating in real time. Before you start animating like that, you can apply an action to a character. So the actions are like walking, running, eyes bulging out of your head, laughing, you know, the typical kinds of actions that you do in a day. And if you do that, then when you drag them around to animate, they'll be doing that action at the same time. So of course I'm saying all of this in hindsight. Now if you ever want to go make a Nickelodeon 3D movie, you'll be a lot more prepared than I was. Here is some footage of me struggling for an hour trying to figure all that out myself. I think I'm about ready to change the world of cinema myself. Now this I remember. Look how exciting this is. Especially when we go from the complete silence and inherent creepiness of this room to this beautiful cutscene.
Your name up in lights, awards, the coolest clothes, limousines.
Awards?
Simmer down, Stick. Surrounding me are all the tools you'll need to make a movie. If you need some movie making tips, come and find me. We'll do lunch. To see the scene,
all right, here we go. I
click
feel
the
like
scene you want.
they really don't give you a whole lot of choices here. But I do love a good sci-fi film, right? I feel like we have to go to space. Why don't we start off in the diner? Yo, the dithering here is off the charts, okay? But I have to say, this is some ugly ass dithering. I was really talking up dithering in my last video, because Listen, there's some tasteful dithering around the edge of this. On the shading of the pipes, I love that. That's a great example. But within these thumbnails, this is uggo. This is giving uggo. So as you can see, we can't rotate the camera freely. Within this 3D scene, they've just pre-rendered a bunch of backgrounds we can choose from.
Dissolve with black.
Oh, wow, there's
Dissolved with
transitions.
white.
Yeah, so these are the characters you get to choose from. And I will say what makes this experience for childhood me even more kind of strange and disturbing was the fact that I didn't know who any of these motherfuckers were. Okay, I was a PBS kid. We didn't have cable, and some of these were probably a little bit before my time. So I think I was aware of who Ren and Stimpy were, but the rest of them, my only experience with these characters has been through this game. So that added an element of weirdness for me. The only way they existed in my brain was this weird, dead 3D model of them. And they also just, a lot of them have very disturbing designs inherently. Like these two dog guys are the only ones that are like normal. Everybody else is kind of fucked. If I'm being honest with you, everybody else here is kind of fucked. I think this guy's gonna be our main character. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Look at him phasing through things. This is so interesting. So it is pre-rendered, but I was wondering if the objects were gonna exist at all, like if I would be in front or behind things correctly. It's pre-rendered, but the game still knows where the objects are. Not me slapping the shit out of him every time I want to move him. Here, let's have him sit. And I want him to start sitting. Something is giving horror about this rotating sound effect. Wow, the controls are awful. I mean, I should have expected it, but it's like pretty incredible. Like the sitting animation only lasts so long, so I have to manually like repeat it and choose where it'll start again. These are the props that we have. I think a burger and fries is probably relevant to this particular scene. Now the fries are positively enormous, okay, because you'll notice I have them right next to the burger, and the fries are simply huge. Okay, my problem is that, oh my god, I've created all these things on the last frame. That was a jump scare. I'm gonna have to go watch this cartoon because how is that the sound of happy barking? I'm obsessed with the way this whole section of actions are not in fact animations, but just the completely still 3D model just being resized or rotated. Like they only made 10 like actual animations and then they said, you know, the kids won't know the fucking difference. We can give them whatever this is. Rest is not an animation either. He's not even breathing. He's dead. That's not resting. That's a little beyond resting. That's dead. Dude, the styles it's giving me, randomized, ooh, that one's actually kind of cool. But it makes it totally incomprehensible as text. The sound effects are really driving me a little crazy. I'm becoming faster at this. I'm becoming kind of cracked. I'm becoming kind of cracked at Nickelodeon 3D Movie Maker, and I'm also kind of going insane. Whee! It's saying I'm unable to save my work, unfortunately, so we're just gonna have to view this masterpiece in the Movie Maker just in case. Frankly, I think the work speaks for itself. God, the dissolve. The dissolve takes so long. I'm pretty proud of the special effects right there. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure what happened with the text at the end there. It kind of like copied some stuff that I typed multiple times, but I think it kind of accidentally adds to the art. Yeah, so that took about an hour. Just so you know, that took about an hour, but it also I think makes vastly more sense than the example movies they gave. If I can pat myself on the back a little bit, if I can jack myself off a little bit, I think it made a lot of sense. And since we can't save it, it's just lost forever. It's just a moment in time that we experience together, and that's it. Wow. Just wow, what a film. So now we get to my actual favorite part of the game, the Chooseometer. This is just a randomizer that will pick for you a scene, background music, character, and one single prop placed randomly, and I guess you're supposed to use this as a starting point to make a movie. Even though there really are not very many options for these things at all, so I don't know how you would be like stuck creatively with where to start, but they have this for you if you need it. Really, the Chooseometer ends up encapsulating the whole vibe of the game pretty well, I think. Like, seeing all the aspects of the game through this randomizer really emphasizes how strange and uncomfortable and lifeless these movies are that you're making. Why don't we check out the Chooseometer?
So many actors and backgrounds to choose from. Oh, where do we start?
Who's this?
Or was it simmer down stick? This will choose a background, a camera angle, an actor, and music.
Okay, it's just a randomizer, basically. Oh my god! Is this sound effect part of it? This creates some very bizarre scenes. This is clearly just a sound effect that's being used as background music. Like, you can't tell me they were making this and scrolling through the Chooseometer like this and not realizing that this is highly spooky and bizarre. Just using this randomizer is creating vibes that have never existed and probably shouldn't. Like, what in the Twin Peaks is this vibe? Me when I'm enjoying a rotisserie chicken on a microscope slide of bacteria? Me when I'm on a nuclear bomb testing site? This is Vaporwave. Oh, that's terrifying. Whoa. This is an unsolicited picture in my Instagram DMs. Very fascinated by the way that the Chooseometer is using sound effects as background music that just loops forever. That's a fascinating artistic choice. I could seriously sit here forever. So I think after that Chooseometer footage, we can all agree that this game is objectively scary. But it's hard to pinpoint exactly why, because it is supposed to be a kid's game. You know, if you wrote the concept down on paper, there's nothing about it that would inherently suggest it would be filling children with dread, but it does. So why? I think first of all there's some Uncanny Valley stuff happening because it approaches the universe of these cartoons, but it's not convincing. Like, seeing 2D characters in 3D is weird in the first place. You know, Nickelodeon does that a lot, I guess, because they also did that weird special where Timmy Turner was in Jimmy Neutron, and somehow when they made Timmy Turner 3D, it looked nothing like him anymore. I think also, as we saw, just the limitations of the program make it basically impossible to do any real storytelling or to really make anything that feels immersive. Like, the animation is just too bad. The characters are just totally lifeless and expressionless, and then there's just not that many pre-recorded voice lines to choose from, so you can't really make your own story very easily. At least without using those text boxes that of course make it totally not feel like a movie at all. But I think the main reason it ends up feeling scary is maybe kind of obvious, but it's that it completely breaks the fourth wall. I mean, you're literally in control of the scenes and the characters, so obviously, but it just really makes you realize that these cartoon characters are just lifeless objects manipulated by humans. I mean, when you're dragging them around animating them, it really kind of feels like you're dragging around a dead body. Even the fact that the locations are just pre-rendered static backgrounds and you can't actually move the camera. Somehow you're looking at these backgrounds and you just become so much more aware that everything there is just objects placed there by somebody. And since you're mix and matching characters and backgrounds and props from different shows, the parts of the whole feel very obviously separate from each other. There's no overall unified mood, and it just becomes things on a screen. It's arbitrary. Just things people put there and could take away. Anyway, that's all for this episode of... and I'll see you next time. Bye. Wow, tremendous amount of sound effects. Wait, the rain is so soothing. Putting on Nickelodeon 3D Movie Maker environment rain sound effect to go to sleep at night. No, because this is soothing AF. Oh my god. That's a disgusting sound.